Derek here with another episode of Screen Heroes, episode 55.
Do you know what show you're on? I mean, you're doing so many nowadays.
Oh, that's so funny.
You kind of hesitated a bit.
No, I wanted to say that we are now Live Ray, and I combined live and Ray as one word, and it was Rive, and it tripped me up a little bit. So, you know, it's all good.
Cool story, bro.
It is. It's a great story. It's one of the greatest stories
of all time.
Of the common era.
Of our generation.
I am Derek, one of your regular hosts, and I have my two other lovely hosts with me, Ryan.
Hi.
And Ray.
Hello.
They didn't like me calling them lovely.
It's the only time we get compliments from
you.
It's the only time.
When it's live streamed onto the internet, so that we can't say, "Oh, he calls us ugly all the time."
He beats us with wet noodles.
Sometimes wet pool noodles.
Maybe I would do with wet pool noodles, yeah, but not
only if I get a couch cushion to fight you with while you're using the pool noodles.
No, you get your own pool noodle.
No.
And we lightsaber
I was referencing
fight.
an old podcast. Gosh,
yeah.
You didn't even freaking get it. Your memory is bad.
It is. I have
he
no.
Just has so many shows.
Right,
now.
so many.
I have two shows, guys. Two.
Whatever.
They are referring to Gamer Heroes, which is the new podcast on the Heroes Podcast Network here at heroespodcast.com.
That he's doing without us.
That I'm doing without Ryan and Ray. I am doing with John Zerwinski, a frequent guest on the podcast, and David Doherty. You can catch our episodes every Friday.
When we say frequent, he's been on the podcast twice.
Is it only twice? I feel like it's more than that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only twice. I don't know.
He was on once
for a
on
Batman
KCCP.
thing.
Back in the day? Okay. I feel like he's been here more often.
Maybe that's just because he's always hanging around our house for some reason.
Just for some...
We're not even sure he has his own house. He just lives wherever.
I guess the fact his wife Hillary has a house.
She has a house.
I'm not sure he's allowed to be there.
Yeah, it's questionable.
All right, so...
We know he's not tuning in, so it's safe to talk about
that's
him.
true. He's definitely not tuning in. I don't even know if he's listened to his to our Gamer Heroes podcast, but, you know, who knows?
Probably not.
Anyway, so this is episode 55 of Screen Heroes, which is really cool. It's very exciting. For episode 50, we did a big award show.
Did we?
We did. We did a giant award show, 17 movie and TV categories, which is really cool. And there were a bunch of winners, and they won stuff. And I promise you guys we will actually send you that stuff. We haven't had a chance to do that. It's been a new year, but we will get you all of that stuff.
All the stuff.
We've got it all. It's all set up, ready to go. So, what are we talking about today?
My birthday!
Are we talking about your birthday? I didn't know that. I'm not prepped for this.
No, we're not. We are actually pitching our own Marvel Phase 4 movie. Right now, in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there has been 2 phases that are complete. We are 2 movies deep into Phase 3. However, all the plans for that one are set in stone. Movies are filming. So while we're still in the limbo of Phase 4, while they're moving around dates and you go to the Wikipedia and you're like, unnamed Avengers sequel, you know, we still have this opportunity to play around and have a good time. So we're each pitching our own movies. I have a feeling I did the most work on mine. Whoa.
I did a lot of work on mine.
Did you?
I'm just not super confident that it'll be received well.
For the record, Ryan and I always bag on Derek's pitches because they're really ridiculous.
Yeah, usually they're just bad, but
usually they're just bad. Look,
that's one for the real.
I know that you guys don't really care for my Ghostbusters pitch that we did back in the day, but I still stand by it.
That really set the mood.
Yeah,
set the tone for all your pitches for the future, and really they haven't gotten any better.
Look,
at least you aren't suggesting toys as the main villain anymore.
I feel like Ryan's pitches are usually the best.
Probably not today.
Oh, okay.
This one was not my...
Well, remember, you can always vote on them, and the winners get, like, a day off or something. Who knows?
A day off of the podcast?
Sure, why not?
So who do you not want to hear coming up on Screen Heroes? You can help us decide. Okay, so real quick, let's just kind of recap where we are in the MCU.
Right now, like I said, we're 2 movies into Phase 3. 2016 started with Captain America Civil War and finished out with Doctor Strange. But we still have 3 movies coming out this year: Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. And then 2018 will split. 2 movies will go to Phase 3, wrapping that up. Black Panther being in the spring, Avengers Infinity War in the summer. And Phase 4 will officially start with Ant-Man and Wasp.
Instead of them
you may be incorrect on this. I'm going to just throw that out there because when I was researching, they said that Phase 4 wasn't until after the 4th Avengers movie.
That's interesting.
So
all the unannounced movies, all the movies that have been announced so far are Phase 3, and then the Phase 4 will be after the second.
That's really interesting.
Part 2 of Infinity War.
Yeah.
That
I was going to say
triples the amount of films in their previous ones.
I read that in 2 articles, and I was like, okay. So I guess that's what I was... I mean, it doesn't really affect mine at all, but...
No, it doesn't affect mine at all either.
It ruins everything about mine. So now listen to it. Just it's ruined. Good.
It is not.
Yours is ruined before we started. Let's just get real.
But no, to that point though, I was gonna make a point about Ant-Man because last time they got tagged on to the end of a phase after an Avengers movie. So
well, the reason why I went on the Wikipedia and looked and saw it was broken up this way and went with it because, Kevin Feige said a long time ago that
the Avengers movies are the end of the thing. But this Avengers movie is split into 2 parts.
Well, and even Ant-Man was after an Avengers movie. So they've already broken that rule. So that's fine. So, okay, so to those of you who are listening to us live, and you can listen to us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Heroes Podcast on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you guys listening live, look up the phases. See if you can find something from a big, reputable source, and let us know what is supposed to all be in Phase 3 before we move on to Phase 4, and maybe we can bring that back around later.
I honestly feel that so much is in flux with the MCU because they want to do so much, and now Disney is just printing them money to use. So, they can pretty much claim whatever they want. Phases start and end wherever they want.
I mean, are the phases even necessary?
I don't think they're even important.
Does it matter?
I mean, it kind of signifies changes in the Avengers roster in some cases because this last one after Age of Ultron kind of set up the new Avengers.
Literally, there was a scene at the end where they were showing Avengers, all of them in brand new costumes and training montage was about to happen.
That wasn't the end of a phase, though.
No, Ant-Man was. But
so again, do the phases really matter?
I feel like they also didn't want to start off a new phase with Ant-Man. They had no idea what to do with Ant-Man.
I don't know. I don't really have much of a problem with that, but I guess it makes sense when you think about the first 2 phases were kicked off with Iron Man movies, and then the third one was Captain America. So
it makes sense. Yeah. But whatever.
All right, so we each came up with our own pitch for a Marvel Phase 4 film. So that would be after all of this stuff. Now, I kind of had this in mind with it being after the first Infinity War movie, so who knows if that really changes anything. I don't think it does, but who would like to kick us off? And this is like back in high school where like, don't pick me, don't pick me.
Yeah, basically.
Should we rock, paper, scissors?
I'll go first.
Derek will go first.
I'll get mine out of the way.
That way we can start with the low and just go up from there.
Just be over it. So I've got my notes here on my phone because when I print them off, people try to peek and look. And so we're going to just... All right.
Because it's a big surprise.
It's a huge...
If I saw it 2 minutes ahead of time.
This is a huge surprise.
Ruined.
Oh, I don't know. Jordan Blood wants Ryan to go first.
Yeah, Jordan wants a lot of things in life.
Does he want to break free?
He is our number 1 Patreon contributor.
No, he and Doc are advertised.
Oh, are they? Oh, I'm sorry, Doc. All right. Well,
I don't think they are.
I don't
even if they are, he's still tied for highest. So, No, is that not true either?
I don't think they're tied for highest. I think Jordan gives quite a bit more than Dr. F.
Well, it doesn't matter. They both give.
We appreciate both of them, but we're nitpicking here.
Anyway, let's do this. All right, so I am picking the character created in 1969, Prowler.
So you picked a completely different character, not introduced, even though there's plenty of characters in the MCU that you could have worked with.
Yes.
Go.
So I
I won't
wanted.
be able to argue this because I have no freaking clue who that character
All right,
is.
so here.
He sounds like a rapist.
Kind of.
He's actually from the Spider-Man comic books. He was originally introduced in Spider-Man in issue number, I'm forgetting, number 78. And so the reason I wanted to do a different character is that we have a lot of characters who have been in ensemble films that don't have their own, for example, Black Widow or
Wasp.
or Wasp, yeah. But I figured since she's getting Ant-Man and Wasp in 2018,
right.
that her getting her own movie within 2 years was probably incredibly unlikely.
Completely honest, she hasn't ever held her own comic book.
Neither is Prowler. So he had a 4-issue miniseries.
She's never even had that.
Okay,
Wasp has
well.
never headlined her
Get
own
on
comic
Prowler's
book.
level.
Oh my god, that just happened.
It did.
So
Unfortunately.
I picked a character that is kind of new but not completely disconnected. I think that he can tie in well to Spider-Man. Now, of course, we haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming, right? So we don't know exactly what's going to happen in there. But the MCU has a history of using previous movies' characters to launch new parts of the franchise, right?
We do know Michael Keaton's going to die because they never carry any good villains over the next film. So.
I'm hoping that he doesn't because...
Or he's going to disappear into an Infinity Stone. That's how it'll work.
The Vulture Stone? I forgot about that
get
one.
stuck in a time loop for...
It's the avian stone.
My mistake,
Come on.
sorry.
They
Right.
make it sound
Yeah.
fancier than what it is.
You're right. That's exactly what that would be called, the Avian Stone. But the interesting thing is that Prowler actually fought Vulture. So if the Prowler movie was successful, I thought that if Vulture survived Spider-Man Homecoming, it could be a cool sequel when he was more popular.
You did say dream, so I guess in a dream world, Vulture might survive.
Yeah, I mean, Loki did.
I guess he's the only one.
And so who is Prowler? Prowler is Hobby Brown from the Bronx, New York, and he is a younger guy. Now I know Spider-Man in the MCU now is really young. It messes up the timeline a little bit for me, but I'm just kind of gonna flex the character
Tom
ages
Holland
a bit.
is officially 8 years old.
Really, yeah, I think he just
that's
had his
what I read
9th
on
birthday.
He's
Yeah.
really smart
Yeah.
though, because isn't he in high school?
So
Well, he's
Doogie
Peter
Howser
Parker.
was a doctor.
Yeah.
Well,
We can suspend disbelief.
The thing is that Tom Holland, he might be in high school, but he looks like a
he's
kid,
in high school.
right? And it's no offense to him or anything. He looks young versus
Tobey Maguire and Andrew
Look
Garfield.
35.
they
Yeah.
looked older, right? So the ages aren't as good as I would like them to be, but I don't feel like you could do some of these stories and characters with kids that look like they're 12 or 14. It just doesn't. It's kind of like an Ender's Game where they had to age up the kids a little bit because having 6-year-olds killing each other is.
I was more excited for that than anything else in the movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so he's a bit of a tinkerer, an inventor.
That's nice.
He actually made Spider-Man's Hornet suit, the jetpack and everything, when Spider-Man was Hornet for a little while, when he was trying to clear the Spider-Man name, which he has to do a lot. But that time, Brown was able to help out there. And he even tried out for the Defenders once.
Didn't make it?
Did not quite make the cut. But I don't know. Maybe with the Marvel Defenders, it would be a little different on the Netflix shows. I don't know.
Could he hold his own with any of those characters?
I mean, most of them don't have powers. They're
That's
just,
the thing.
I mean, Jessica Jones has
She
powers.
does.
Luke Cage has
Oh,
powers.
no,
Iron
you're
Fist has
right.
powers.
It's
But
just
for Daredevil, but even
Well,
the
he has
Punisher,
powers too, technically.
Ish.
I think he could take on the Punisher. I think that would be a really cool fight. No, I do because
The MCU Punisher, yeah, I guess so.
that's what I'm talking about. In this particular context, we're talking the Netflix shows. I think that would be a really interesting fight to see. But that would probably be the only one he'd really be able to take on. Because, I mean, Murdoch's got insane martial arts training and his super sonic vision that he has. Where
World
he
on
can
Fire.
Hear breathing bones and things. And
Breathing bones.
he could
That's
hear
my
the bones.
new emo band.
Yeah, that's
Breathing
good.
bones.
That's good. Trademark that.
So, and he's done a couple of other things. He was in a group called the Outlaws, which included some ex-villains like Sandman and Silver Sable, which I thought was kind of cool. And he also violated the Superhuman Registration Act, which is...
That son of a gun.
Well, but it's a topic of discussion, right? That's what Civil War was about, and that's theoretically still an ongoing thing. I mean, we won't really know that
I
for a while.
There will
but
be more mention of the Sokovia Accords and which heroes played ball and which didn't, because they didn't really talk about the repercussions.
No.
Like
they had a little prison break and everyone's cool.
Yeah. But
well, that was pretty much the last movie. Doctor Strange came out, but there wasn't really anything about Sokovia Accords.
Well, that's the thing.
We assume they're happening around the same time.
If you look at the lineup, you now have Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor.
So
they
we
don't
won't hear
make
anything
all
about
pretty
it.
much.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be the only place we hear
there's
anything
no
about it.
reason
Probably.
to talk about it until Black Panther in a year.
I mean, I guess they could force it into a scene in Spider-Man because Tony Stark is in Spider-Man.
That's true,
right?
But it literally would be forced.
Right. So yeah, I don't expect
here's
to.
the nice, neat plot. Bam. So
you're saying they're going to fist the plot?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're gonna fist it into the plot.
Wow.
So it is a little weird that they would bring up such like a comic book significant story and then drop it for basically a year and a half, 2 years before we hear about it again.
I mean, they've mentioned it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a couple times, but it hasn't been anything major.
Right.
I mean, it hasn't impacted the Netflix shows.
No.
Or anything like that. I mean, the Defenders, maybe something comes up in the Defenders.
Well,
we don't
even
know,
then,
but
they wouldn't have had to sign it. The Sokovia Accords were just for the Avengers.
Yeah.
It wasn't for
That's fair.
superhumans.
That's a good
there's
distinction.
really no reason for them to even know about it or care.
No, that's a good distinction. It is different than in the comics. A nice little tidbit is that Ms. Marvel actually brings in Prowler after he decides to go against the Accords, and
this is Carol Danvers, now Captain Marvel.
Right.
Kamala Khan wasn't a thing in 2011.
Yeah, this was before, and he escapes. So he's like on the lam, and nobody knows where he is, kind of thing. So, all right. So what is my movie going to basically?
Who's your director?
All right, my director is Rain Johnson, who directed Looper, and he is also directing Episode 8 of Star Wars. I really like Looper a lot. I mean, it's a time travel movie, so it's got some logistical issues, but I really like the way the movie was made, the tone of the movie, the style, all that kind of stuff.
Did you like the prosthetic Joseph Gordon-Levitt wore? Because that was weird.
I don't think it made him look like Bruce Willis, but I thought he looked fine. I liked it. I really
liked the way he looked in that.
I mean, I didn't have a problem with it.
Oh.
I don't have.
Did you like it or did you not have a problem?
I don't have the hots for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so
I was questioning it at that point. I know it was Robin, and you were really excited about that, but
don't even joke about that, man.
Too soon.
He's not the problem with that movie.
Too soon.
But I hate that movie. So that's my director. My director is Rain Johnson.
Okay.
So do you want me to keep going?
Yeah. Who's your actor?
Okay.
Who's playing Prowler?
So obviously, I want Spider-Man to have some type of cameo role in it, not like a post-credit scene or anything. I actually want him to introduce the character because the way that they meet is really cool in the comics. Basically, what Prowler does is he wants to be known as a hero, but doesn't necessarily want to put in the legwork. And so he actually...
Are you saying he wants to be the very best?
Like no one ever was.
So what he does is he creates this Prowler persona who's actually going to be a vigilante and a criminal, a supervillain. And then his Hobie Brown real character will solve the crime and be the hero. Well, the very first time he goes to rob a bank, Peter Parker happens to be there, in streets, and he gets knocked out a window, and Prowler thinks he's killed a guy and is having this big crisis. And then of course Spider-Man shows up because and Spider-Man finds out that he's really just a kid because in the comics Spider-Man is older at this point. He's not 12 or 14.
He's 35.
And so
he's Tobey Maguire in this version,
right? And so they, Prowler is a quote kid. In this universe, it's a little bit flipped, but basically what happens is they kind of talk it out, and Spider-Man becomes his inspiration for actually being a real hero, and he uses Prowler to be a hero from that point forward. I thought that'd be a cool way to kick off the movie. You could kind of do it in the tone of the bank scene that they show in the trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming.
That
right?
actually would be a really captivating scene to watch when it first opens. The reason why X2 and Dark Knight are considered some of the best comic book films isn't solely based on the opening scene, but it grabs you with the opening scene and
Right?
doesn't let go of you.
We just need to make sure we film the opening scene in IMAX. That's the trick.
Always,
Yeah.
always in
Always.
IMAX, preferably in the Oval Office if we can.
Yeah.
That scene is
Or
so
in a
cool.
bank.
No,
You
no,
know.
Nightcrawler's scene is, I'm convinced, the best scene in an X-Men film. Displaying a power.
That's hard to argue with. I mean, nothing's coming to mind that really matches it as a single scene.
The
It's pretty
Quicksilver
awesome.
one in Days of Future Past was really impressive to watch.
But it's
But
just nothing but computer generated
you're
images.
totally right.
And while it's
Well,
cool,
Nightcrawler was actually teleporting in that, so that's
You're
true.
totally
That's a big
right.
difference.
the whole thing isn't CGI though. Just his poofs are CGI.
Yeah, he
There are still it's still Ray Park doing stunts and things like that.
That's
Or not Ray
Park.
Park.
That's he was Toad.
Yeah, sorry. But there's still
Same
stunt.
character, basically.
Yes, forgive me for thinking Ray Park did the stunt role in the X-Men movies instead of the
It's
Toad
okay, Derek. I do
character.
forgive you.
Anyway, let's move on. So,
Who's your actor?
okay, so my actor for Prowler is Octavius J. Johnson.
No idea who that is.
He was in...
Cool name though. Combining like 3 different Marvel characters' names. So
That's just a happy little coincidence, but he was in Ray Donovan and the Roots remake that they did recently, and he's also in the new Denzel Washington movie Sleepless. He's a younger guy. He's only like 22,
Okay.
which makes him young, but he's still older than Tom Holland because everybody in MCU is older than Tom Holland. So that's who my Prowler is going to be.
Okay. That sounds great.
So.
Is that your entire pitch? Do you have more?
No, okay, I'll keep going then. So he is going to have 2 bad guys, okay, and they're both from the Outlaws that he ends up working with later, and I thought that'd be a cool story to continue if it went over well, and that's Silver Sable and Sandman. Now I know we already had a Sandman once, and he was probably the only good part about Spider-Man 3, but I want to give that character another chance because that's a really cool character, and that movie should not have been as bad as it was.
Props for using Silver Sable, who's often forgotten about in the comics, not just everywhere else, but even in the comics. She's
Who?
exactly.
She connects
really
with Prowler
cool.
though. There's some connections there. They
Physical.
well they fight each other and then
Like
they end up
being
as
the bad.
metaphorical connections.
Anyway, so for my Silver Sable I picked Julianne Hough, who is
Julianne Hough.
Is that how you pronounce
Yeah,
that?
it's Huff.
It's
Yeah.
Huff. It's okay. It's just
it is
GH. So okay.
I know.
And so she was in Rock of Ages, she was on Dancing with the Stars, she was in Grease Live, and she was also in the 2011 Footloose remake.
That's not bad. That's a decent casting. She's a great actress, actually.
Hers was based primarily on how similar she looks to the comic book incarnation of Silver Sable. I thought,
Pretty insane how
So,
similar.
yeah, so I thought that fit
I don't
really
know
well.
who Silver Sable is, so I'm just assuming
Look her
you
up.
guys...
She's pretty cool. And she ties in well with Prowler, and I thought this would be a good way to use characters that I know wouldn't be reserved for the big heavy hitters. Iron Man's not going to go up against Silver Sable.
Right.
You know, now Spider-Man might go up against Sandman, right? That's a real possibility, but you know.
The Silver Sable was dropped because she's really the only female that Spider-Man has ever come across that he hasn't wanted to do. You know, like
Okay.
he and Matt Murdock,
Well, he's a
they
teenager, so.
come across a woman and they have an affair with him. So
Wow.
Fair
happens.
enough. Now, so a couple of things in chat real quick before I give you my final casting choice here. So first off, Jordan says that what he's reading is that Phase 4 starts after Captain Marvel
Okay.
and an unnamed Avengers
Which is
movie
the
in
second
2019,
Avengers movie
which
that they
is
just haven't released the subtitle for or whatever.
okay. I thought it was literally part 2 of Infinity
It was
War.
going to be, but then they made the third one Infinity War, and they have now unnamed the fourth one. So it's not really part 1 and 2
Okay,
anymore.
so both
Yeah.
Marvel and DC decided to scrap the 2-parter idea.
Yeah.
Okay, probably a good
Probably after
good
Harry
idea.
Potter.
And Hunger Games
And Hunger Games, yeah.
and Twilight
No.
and
the Divergent probably was that.
wasn't that last one like a made-for-TV movie?
Yeah.
That's gotta feel pretty bad,
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, I'm sure.
you know. And then It's Mother Uckas is saying that Julianne Hough can't act.
We each have our own thing. I thought she was great on Grease Live.
I mean, I actually did see Grease live, and I thought she was good.
I mean, she pretended to be, partners with all those douchebag celebrities on Dancing with the Stars. It's decent enough acting for a paycheck, in my opinion.
There you go. And we've had, we've had some bad actors be superhero / villains before. I think that the MCU does a good job of bringing people you wouldn't expect into pretty prominent roles.
You're totally right.
And then, so my last choice for Sandman is actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Big surprise.
And it ties in with the Rian Johnson thing and the Looper concept. I think that...
I'm okay with this, actually.
I think that both the two of them working together could really get the tone of the character really well. I like the idea that they used in Spider-Man 3 where he's a sympathetic villain. He's not really a nemesis. He's not really evil. There's good in him. He's doing bad things.
Well, that was all Sam Raimi, because in the comics, he really is evil. He's kind of a D-bag,
but in the Outlaws, he's a good guy again.
That's true.
Or a good guy, not again. And so I wanted to kind of play off of that, and if you make him too bad, then it's not really believable that he becomes a good guy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so what I would want is, if Prowler did well, is the sequel would be like Prowler on the Outlaws.
Okay.
And it would be him, Silver Sable, and Sandman.
That's actually a really neat idea.
Interesting.
Don't think that movie will ever get made.
No, it won't.
But that's actually really fun, and I would have a good time watching that, and that cast was really good. This is probably your best pitch so far.
You think so? Ryan's like, no.
It's not his worst, but they all kind of blend together into one mess.
No, I feel like this is easily his best. Not the best pitch on the show. It's hard to beat your Goombas.
Inglorious Goombas.
But...
Yeah, that's actually... Yeah, Ryan's Inglorious Goombas will be a special feature on the Blu-ray release of Super Mario Brothers, which is actually happening.
We can only hope. I didn't get paid for it, so hopefully I at least get credited.
All right, so that's my pitch for a Prowler film.
That was good.
It was, better than I thought it would be.
Yeah. When you said Prowler, I was like, oh no. But no, this was good.
When he said Prowler, I was like, I don't know who that is.
I really worked on this one. I wanted to do this one some justice. There's so much going on in the MCU that I thought
that's what made it tough for me.
Yeah.
Is that every character has connections to another character that's already been made, and is that good? Is that bad?
And that's why I picked who I did.
Do we own rights to that?
Well, that's always an issue, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know who owns the rights to Prowler, especially since he was created in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And basically lived in Spider-Man. But
I think it's safe to say the MCU can use pretty much whoever they want.
There's some deals there now, so I think it's feasible.
Yeah.
I didn't pick any mutants.
Right.
So.
I think it would be a shame to not have Jessica Drew in the Captain Marvel movie, since the two of them are best friends. It would be, Hellcat and Jessica Jones in the TV show. It's just a good friendship to have, Rhodey and Iron Man. And however, she goes by Spider-Woman. Now, she was not introduced in Spider-Man. She has zero connection to Peter Parker. Her powers aren't similar at all. She has a pheromone thing. But because of the word spider, does it screw it up? Does she not get to be in that movie? That sucks.
Sony owns spider stuff.
That sucks.
I remember one of the earlier phrases was basically that they own the Spider-Verse. And the deal made with Marvel Studios was that they could only use Spider-Man. They couldn't use other Spider-Verse characters.
Except that they're using Vulture and
likely
Norman Osborn.
But they're not doing it on their own. It's a joint venture with Sony.
Yeah, Thor will definitely be dropped.
I think what this was referring to was...
Bugle's already been dropped, so...
Well, but again, this is a joint one, like when they do a Hulk movie with Universal. It's not like in Civil War, which was a complete Marvel Studios production, in which case they could use Spider-Man, but they couldn't use any of the other stuff. So.
Yeah.
Little weird.
Who knows? There's so much lawyer stuff in there that you never know how it's split up with Fox and Sony and all them. It's kind of a pain.
Now, thank you, Doc Rev. I appreciate it. Doc Rev really liked my pitch. He says it's cool as hell. So.
I would watch it.
Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
it.
That's the best compliment Derek has ever had on one of his pitches.
I see how it is.
Since this podcast started.
His brother's name.
I know.
And he's in chat, so I'm like, gosh.
All right, so that's my pitch, guys. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think of my pitch. If you're not watching live, you can comment on YouTube or Facebook or at heroespodcast.com. Who's
Good
next?
plug.
It's a good
Okay.
plug, yeah.
I'll go next. I picked Black Widow. I think she should have a film. In the beginning, she did not have enough characterization to have the film. I think after the, 5 movies she's been in now, she does have enough. There's good enough reason to go back. My film that I've been dreaming of for a couple of years now would be half flashback, so kind of an origin story, and half split between a current mission. Originally, I thought a Memento thing would be great, doing it backwards and forwards, but that'd be a little difficult and it wouldn't mesh with the rest of it. So I figured a good old-fashioned spy movie would be great, something along the lines of the most recent James Bond or the earlier Bourne movies. I thought it should be directed by Matthew Vaughn. I thought about this a lot, and I know that people want a female director to do this. Well, I just think that it shouldn't matter. You know, a female-led film doesn't have to be directed by a female. Male-led film doesn't have to
DC
be.
was kind of all about that with Wonder Woman. They were like, we're doing this. We need to have a female director.
Don't get me
And
wrong.
it worked. It
It's
seems
a
to have
cool
worked out from what we've
idea.
seen,
It
but-
really is, but it doesn't have to be the only thing
Yeah.
to make a good film. So it's going to star Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, William Hurt as General Ross, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and it's going to bring back Natalie Dormer, who was in Captain America: The First Avengers for literally one scene.
Oh, yeah. I
And
forgot she was in that.
Ian Somerhalder would be the only new character, and he's going to play Red Guardian, who was Black Widow's husband. It was a KGB arranged marriage. So basically it starts out with General Ross. He's an ambassador of the UN now. Obviously we saw that in Civil War. He's the one that brings in the Sokovia Accords. He's going to enlist Black Widow to track down the Hulk. No particular reason why. There's been no attacks recently, but he just gives her this mission and tells her she has to go. Now, she doesn't believe in his intention. She knows their history. She doesn't think it's good, but she has a vested interest in this because of her feelings for him, so she goes anyway.
So let me ask you this. Where do you think Hulk ends up at the end of Ragnarok?
I think Hulk's going to stay off-world for a while. If we get...
Really Infinity War, because this is after the Infinity War movie.
Oh, yeah, this would be after that, yeah.
Yeah. So I believe he's going to stay off-world, and unless we get a Planet Hulk film, I think he'll be splitting his time between outer space and Earth, to
It's a
be
long
honest.
commute.
Well,
Quite
you know, he
commute.
can jump really far.
It's true.
Sure.
Depends if you get him angry enough or not.
And jumping through space, I mean...
Physics.
So,
Who needs him?
Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk and Jeremy Renner will only appear in flashbacks. There's no reason to have them in the story.
So she doesn't actually find Hulk?
No.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Spoiler
geez, way to
alert.
ruin it for everybody. Golly.
I can just read my whole thing. I was
You
trying to
scripted
go-
it out?
I did.
Act 1, Scene 1.
So
And go.
the flashbacks occur throughout her training in the Red Room, shown her being trained, more focused on her teenage years and her marriage to Alexei Shitokov. I don't
I was
speak
going to say, do
Russian.
we have to make this explicit now? What's going on?
And his subsequent
Shit,
death.
talkie mushrooms.
It's Austin Powers this up.
Exactly.
Shih Tzu dogs. And his subsequent death. She discovers throughout her trip that the KGB has leaked intel that the Hulk has been apprehended in Serbia by codename Red Guardian and Black Widow. Now,
Who the heck is going to apprehend the Hulk? I wouldn't want to be that guy. Jeez.
It went really well for Tony.
I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it went really good.
at this point, she has a flashback where she remembers a blonde woman, Natalie Dormer, training her in the Red Room, being one of her many instructors. and her name was the Black Widow. So Natalie Dormer's character is actually going to be Yelena Belova, and I'm going to change up that character because it's really a stupid character in the comics. It was just like, hey, let's have a blonde Black Widow. Like, that was the whole reason for it. So I figured I'd utilize Natalie Dormer's character, which only had one scene, and it was Black Widow's the code name given to Yelena Belova in 1938. She is sent by the KGB to infiltrate the U.S. Army as Private Lorraine in order to bring down Captain America. Her girl parts get the best of her, and she fails her mission. Because the scene she's in, she makes out with Captain America, and that
was a really weird scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she fails.
That's there just to make Haley Atwell upset.
Yeah, it was bad. So she fails her mission, and you see her go back to Russia where they know exactly what happened. They've had people tailing, like a good spy agency does. And she's killed as soon as she gets there. So
she's not a very good agent, is she? She was killed immediately.
No, so she is then upgraded with biomechanical parts in her organs and brought back to life, very similar to Coulson's. And
that's not quite how Coulson came back to
life. No. I said similar.
Okay.
But it's incredibly similar to what Natasha Romanoff got, which was biomechanical enhancements, even more so in the Winter Soldier, and then later on with Red Guardian. Like, this is their first time where they have upgraded a person, only they killed her first completely, pretty much made her a cyborg, and she becomes
It's like Ghost in the Shell.
That's what it sounds like. Even starting the same actor.
Great cast. So maybe Ghost in the Shell's like a prequel?
Yeah, it could be.
So
only if it's good, though.
She becomes the head spy for the KGB, and that's why she is in the Red Room and trains Natasha. And of course, she doesn't age after this, and she's the reason why the Red Room was actually created, because they figured they could take young girls, grow them, and train them into spies, and then add the biomechanical enhancements later on. When Natasha starts to outperform Yelena, that's when she becomes Black Widow and gets her code name. So back to current timeline, Natasha arrives in Serbia and she infiltrates. I pictured a fancy party, something at an embassy, because I think spy movies.
There's always an embassy infiltration.
Well, it's so much fun to go back to the 1960s where spies were thought of as these dashing, debonair people. And so I really just wanted to see these two women in like these formal gowns and
like a sword down her dress or something.
Not exactly like that, but
somebody should do that in a movie. Though.
I know, that'd be a great shot,
Yeah.
So the two meet at a bar. There's some exchange. Once again, Natalie Dormer looks the exact same as Natasha remembers her, like, from 15 years ago. So Natasha realizes that she had way more biomechanical parts in her than she did, obviously. And then they have a small exchange where it implies that Yelena has poisoned most of the liquor and she's killing, like, everybody. Because Yelena's a little vindictive. She's pissed off that Natasha got her code name and was thought of as better, and then Natasha ruins it by defecting. And, she went ahead and poisoned the whole party just in case this one person shows up. And
big move.
Yeah, so Natasha rushes to prevent as many people as she can from drinking, causing a slight hysteria and allowing Yelena to get away. When Natasha is finally able to get out, she is grabbed by a man in a red suit and knocked out. She wakes up in a damp, dark room similar to her quarters in the Red Room. And then she finds out that the man who nabbed her is her ex-husband, Alexei, now known as the Red Guardian. She finds out that he had been brainwashed to the point where he's like pretty much mush in here. He has no personality. It's just he is a stand-in. They wanted something better than Winter Soldier, something that wasn't going to break free.
I was going to say, if I start saying the Winter Soldier words to him, does that do anything?
No.
Well,
No.
bummer.
Something that was going to break free, or not break free like the Winter Soldier, and something that was visibly as patriotic as Captain America. You know, his outfit is a giant red suit with when the character was first created, I'm pretty sure the sickle and hammer was on his chest. I think they've changed that now. But he also has a shield. Like, he really is Russia's answer to Captain America.
They can just throw their shields at each other
exactly.
back and forth.
So they find out that they were able to recreate the KGB was able to recreate the super soldier serum to a certain degree. Still not perfect, but it was enough to brainwash Red Guardian and make him super pumped and stuff. Well, General Ross...
Would you say beefy?
Yeah, I would. Super beefy.
I bet you would.
Like Adrian Brody.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing it back around.
So, General Ross hired Yelena to take out Romanoff and the Hulk. And then Yelena set
Clearly he doesn't understand what the Hulk is.
Right?
Yelena let the intel leak that the Hulk was in Serbia when she knew for a fact the Hulk has been off-world. And so General Ross gets super furious because he didn't know this either, that Yelena was just doing this to get back at Natasha.
Well, I mean, he's a really level-headed, cool guy, so I'm sure.
Well, he was doing it for...
Is he the Red Hulk at this point? Or?
So he wanted the super soldier serum for himself.
Oh, okay, so that comes later still. We still have to wait for Red Hulk.
He injects himself with this serum right then and there, and it subsequently kills him.
Oh, bummer.
Black Widow breaks out of the prison, and a huge fight scene happens between the three of them, Red Guardian, Yelena, and Natasha. She ends up killing Yelena by ripping out some of her biomechanics. Really brutal. But she allows Red Guardian to leave under the promise that he goes back to just being Alexei, and he no longer is the Red Guardian. She convinces him to stop working for Russia and to just leave. Because she feels bad. She was married to the guy. She wasn't in love with him, but she was still married with him and had to live with him and everything. So that's it. Natasha returns to the U.S. Movie over. End credit scene is General Ross is seen seizing on the floor and turning red.
Dun dun dun.
I knew it was going there.
Black Widow 2.
Thunderbolt. You gotta do this. You gotta do this to Ross. Come on.
Black Widow 2, Red Dawn.
No, it's Electric Boogaloo, Derek.
Doc Rev
that's
in
my
chat says, Ray and her beefy actors, gotta love it.
I'm surprised she didn't cast Adrian Brody in there.
I know. Why isn't he Red Guardian?
He's not beefy enough.
Ooh.
He could always get beefier.
Big slam.
Harsh. So is the whole Red Room storyline going to counteract the stuff that they already did in Agent Carter with the Red Room stuff?
No, it'll
I mean, nobody watched Agent Carter, so
No,
nobody's going to be
okay.
like, hey, this is different.
This stuff would take place later.
much later
Yeah, that's
than
true, I guess.
Agent Carter. It would be in the 80s or 90s, and you know, it could have
They'd all have
changed
like
by
the
then.
poofy hair and like day glow colored
Well,
shirts.
no, you know it's the 90s because she
Fanny
had
packs.
bangs.
Oh,
She
okay.
had
Bangs.
bangs.
And no fanny pack. Well, I guess they probably have that.
Right.
That's too handy to not have as a secret agent.
So this is breaking news. We know what Avengers 4 is going to be per Jordan. Avengers 4, The Search for Hulk.
I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah.
I figured it was going to be
Unofficial.
Avengers 4, Perfect Strangers featuring Alf.
Who doesn't love Alf, really? I mean,
Right.
if he's eating cats, I'm all about it.
So does Alf fight the Hulk?
Why? I just said
They'd just
Perfect
be
Strangers.
friends.
There's nothing about the Hulk.
So
in
there,
it.
Why does everything have to be a fight with you, Derek?
Because it's a superhero movie. Everything in a superhero movie is solved by fighting.
Look, I just made a really cool spy movie. I brought Natalie Dormer back because she was such a wasted actress.
I'm very happy
in
about that
and
choice.
You get Red Hulk in there. You get a really good storyline that's not revolved around like a romance, you know.
I'm just of the opinion
No,
that
that's
Black
good.
Widow is a better side character in the movies than she is a main actor. Just like I don't think Hawkeye would be great as a standalone movie. It's nothing against the character, because in the comic books I know she's held her own and been a great character. But just as the way the movies have progressed, she's had a good amount of character development. If they had made a movie like in Phase 2 for Black Widow, it might have worked. But I think at this point...
I think you could do a Hawkeye movie, you just do Robin Hood.
Yeah, that's what it would be. And he's wearing purple instead of green.
But Doc Rev really liked Ray's pitch and the choices for actors, so... You know.
Well, all of them were all previously used, except
I know. I got like
one
one guy who's a carryover in my movie to pass the torch.
I wanted to use the stuff that they've already set up. They have too many threads going a million different ways. Time to tie some loose and give some fans what they want. And we want to see another Hulk. And
contracts are running up. Those guys are too expensive now.
Especially in 2021
Hilton Las Vegas timeshares calling me, guys.
Sweet.
You should totally answer that live on the air.
Maybe next time.
Hey, pitch us your Phase 4 movie real quick.
No, Jordan calls it a Black Widow meets James Bond in a remake of From Russia with Love. So that would be cool. That'd be cool.
That should be the title.
Scarlett Johansson is James Bond.
No, Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow meets James Bond in remake of From Russia with Love.
2.
Yeah. Electric Boogaloo.
All right, so that's Ray's pitch, and now we're on to Ryan.
Mine is a lot less elaborate. I don't like following that up, but what can you do? Okay.
You could have gone first. You had the option.
That's true. Okay, so as I've done in the last few pitches, I have my opening scene laid out, and I want you guys to just kind of visualize it.
All right, so everyone close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Get into the mode.
Picture Ryan sitting in a leather chair.
Hold hands with a loved one. A ship is seen flying towards recognizable planets, our galaxy. A strange alien ship flying in. As it gets closer, it passes all kinds of space debris, and you kind of see the camera pan by an asteroid that has the SHIELD logo on it, which is weird, right? Anyway,
that's actually in his script.
SHIELD and Peter Weller are building a spaceship with Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Strangecon.
No. So as the ship starts to pass these asteroids, a little sliding door opens up on the front, a double-barreled blaster of some kind. It starts shooting at the ship, and you see a whole bunch of these kind of coming out. And then you see a bright flash of light. You hear the impact of something hitting the ship, and you see
top-notch special effects.
You see the symbols like Thor has when he hits something, when he comes to Midgard, he uses the Nordic runes, right? You see that on the ship. Let's see, where was I? That didn't work out well. Okay, yes, you know it's Thor because you see the symbols. You see him kind of walking and entering the ship, and as coming out of some darkness, you see a lumbering creature, and you see it just run at him, and you see this epic fight, and you can kind of make out the creature is like a weird horse face type creature.
It's Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes, Sarah Jessica Parker. No,
I was fighting Napoleon Dynamite.
No, it's not Napoleon Dynamite either. And they have this big fight, and you can tell that they are equally matched, back and forth, fighting. The creature manages to knock the Mjolnir out of Thor's hand, and they continue fighting for a little while. And as the creature seems to have maybe bested Thor, kind of pulls back, and you see him beaten and bloody, kind of like he's been in a big brawl. And you see the creature walk over to the hammer and pick it up. And as he picks it up and kind of holds it up, you're like, holy crud, he just picked up Mjolnir. And then, title sequence, Thor Stormbreaker.
Beta Ray Bill.
That's right, baby. Beta Ray Bill. Okay.
I'm so excited. Beta Ray Bill is one of my favorite cosmic characters.
As he picks up the hammer, you can see him like lightning snaking all over him, and like the armor from Thor showing up on his body and everything. Really cool. You hear a thunderclap. It's really neat.
Love it.
Yeah. So that's about as much of the work as I did. I did some casting also. Beta Ray Bill is going to be played by Liam Hemsworth.
Yes! Oh my god, that's so good.
Right?
All right.
I mean, he might need some prosthetics. But
Sure.
I just want him to work out as much as Chris, and then they just look exactly the same.
The Hemsworths.
Because really, Thor and Beta Ray Bill are really similar looking. Really similar looking.
But Liam Hemsworth is the horse face of his family.
Compared to Chris, I mean, everybody's going to be a horse face of the family. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, I mean, I have a basic outline of the story, but basically, it's like the comic book introduction, Beta Ray Bill, if you don't know that. He is able to pick up the hammer, and when he picks it up, him and Thor are actually transported back to Asgard. And Odin's like, what the heck, man?
Just like that.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I beat your son, so I get to keep the hammer now. And he's like, no, dude, you didn't beat him fair and square, because he had just fought Thanos, and now he's worn out. But now I'm going to make him at full power, and you guys get to go to this pocket dimension and fight. And then if you beat him there, you get...
Is Zod floating around in this dimension too?
Just not the cellophane dimension.
Yeah.
That's different. The cellophane's different than the Phantom Zone.
I said pocket dimension, not Phantom Zone.
I know, I'm answering Ray. The cellophane S just wraps him up and he falls to the ground, and then he's okay. Just like in Family Guy.
Does he get thrown in space?
So, that's the Phantom Zone is two-dimensional space on a piece of plexiglass that floats around through the galaxy.
Oh, I much prefer Supergirl. Continue, sir.
Anyway, so he transports them to an alternate pocket dimension, whatever, and they fight, and it happens to be really hot there, and Beta Ray Bill is kind of fueled by heat, so even though they're pretty much equally matched, he isn't running out of stamina, whereas Thor is, and he manages to best Thor. And instead of killing him, he just picks up his body, and as he was a great warrior, and they fought for a very long time, and were equally matched. He carries him back to Asgard and throws the body on the ground. He's like, I beat this dude. And Odin's like, well, I'm not giving you his hammer, but I made you your own, and it's really cool. And it's called Stormbreaker. Here you go. And then he puts it on and makes him look like Thor, and, then they're hammer bros.
That's what it should be called. Thor Hammer Bros.
That's what you wanted to bring it all back to Mario, didn't you?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, and then, that's like the first half of the movie, and then they go and
have an
adventure together because they're bros now, and I kind of lost steam there, and I was like, what can I do? It's like, oh, well, maybe they could go solve the mystery or beat the guy that kicked all the Corbinites off their planet.
I like the idea of them solving mysteries like the Hardy Boys.
Well, and we can't use... In the comic books, it was Galactus.
The Hardy Hammers.
We can't use Galactus, so I picked Magus, who is or Magus, or however you say it, who's Adam Warlock's counterpart, evil counterpart. So yeah, they're going to go fight that. And I had John Hamm playing Magus, or Magus, or however you say it, because I just want to see John Hamm in a villain role. And then I had Luc Besson as the director because he does really good space stuff, and I thought it might be interesting. He hasn't done a superhero movie. And then the after credits scene is going to be them playing Mario Brothers.
Yes, I'm totally okay with this.
With their hammer sitting next to them.
Yeah, each one has their own hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, guys, what do you think of that one? That's the Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, Thor Stormbreaker. It's actually Thor Stormbreaker.
Sorry.
Right.
It's a Thor movie.
Your favorite pitch tonight?
It was mine.
Guys, you're really good. I would watch both those films. We're getting awesome at this. We should be writing movies.
Well,
I don't know about all that. If I lost steam on a real movie and it just ended up being like, hey, he fights an army of dudes and fights another dude, and then, although Marvel's doing that, and it's making billions, so.
You can have the giant blue sky beam that is in every Marvel film.
Yeah,
look,
and DC at this point.
There is no lazier pitch than the pitch for Jurassic Park 2. All right, guys, picture this. Jurassic Park, but on a different island.
And again. Yeah.
We have Stegosauruses this time, and we're going to mock Godzilla.
That was the pitch for Jurassic Park 2.
Probably. I wasn't there, so I can't confirm that, but that's probably what it was like.
And then for Jurassic Park 3, it was, well, what if we went back? See, we could do this. We got this.
And then Jurassic World was like, guys, what if we did it again?
But now.
But made it an amusement park.
We did it now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it.
So one vote for Derek.
It's Mother Ucka says
I didn't realize this was going to be a competition.
That they're not here to pick favorites.
But
so,
you are.
So one vote for me. I guess I win. Sweet.
I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned Riceps in there.
Let's see. Doc Rev says that he's hot like the pocket dimension in Ricep's pitch.
That seems like a vote for me. I'm going to be honest.
I'm not. It's more of a simile than a vote.
Oh my god.
All right, so those are our pitches for our Phase 4 Marvel films that will
I really
take
wanted
place.
to do the Illuminati, but then I was like, man, I don't know where I'm going to go with that. But they have like
And you need Tom
3/4
Hanks,
of the
right?
characters
So-
for the
Yeah.
Illuminati, so that would work. You know, you could just replace
Professor X and
with
Submariner.
you could put Scarlet Witch in there, and Namor is already in the Illuminati. You just have to introduce him. They've got the rights to
Who
him.
does Tom Hanks play? Because he has to be in all Illuminati movies. Or Nick Cage.
Well, I'd probably cast Nick Cage.
Namor is played by Beyonce because she's in the real Illuminati. Stay woke.
Queen Bee.
Wow.
Queen Bee.
And that's, I think the show has run its course forever.
This is the series
This is the
finale.
series finale. That was, I can't believe that just came out of her mouth.
It did. It happened.
That was rough. All right,
I'm
well,
getting dumped tonight, by the way.
Dogsthorpe, Jordan Blood says that he wants to see a Nova movie. That's his pitch. And Dogsthorpe says that his favorite is whichever movie has Adrian Brody in it. So my movie also has Adrian Brody.
It does not.
He's
He
on
didn't
the.
bring that up,
he's
so.
one of the guys in the bank that Prowler is trying to bust.
No, mine has
So-
Adrian Brody and Sarah Jessica Parker playing the random aliens that the Beta Ray Bill and Thor are going to fight. So, boom.
Oh man. Anyway, all right. So guys, what are we talking about next week? What is next week's topic?
I bet Rachel knows.
Do you know? It's the 24th, right? That's our X-Men episode.
That's right.
Is it?
It
Yeah,
is. That
we're-
is our.
We're going to rank the top 20 X-Men in which one's best and stuff. And Ryan and Derek are very nervous because they have no idea what an X-Men is.
I mean, I've watched the movie.
We are going to be bringing on David Doherty, who is my co-host on Gamer Heroes. He is a big X-Men fanboy, so he will be joining us for his first time on Screen Heroes. And yes, we're going to do our best to rank the top 20 X-Men mutants, not by like just straight up which is more powerful, because those rankings are out there. Those are quote official.
There's a classification in the comics from Alpha to Omega, who's the most powerful. So,
Doc Rev saying the top 20 might take too long. We got through 20 for Batman
We did.
villains.
Yeah, but that's because we
Yes.
knocked out like the first 8
I think we can do it.
instantly.
I think we can do it.
Okay. We can always go backwards, start at 1, and then see what we end up with at
That
20.
Do you want to fight at the
That
beginning
seems
and some of the
anticlimactic.
ends?
Yeah.
But everybody
Alright.
knows what the top 5 or so are going to be. You
That's
have a
what,
pretty
so
good guess.
that's what I'm saying. We can just
Yeah,
get
I
past
mean,
those
it's
and
gonna
move
be
on.
Polaris
You know.
and
Just take those out
Tusk.
and then
Right.
move
And
on. I think Negasonic
Marrow.
Teenage Warhead really is my personal
X-Force,
favorite.
isn't it?
yeah,
Not X-Men. Different.
it's the same.
No, it's different.
Yeah.
Different title.
I was
They both
also-
have X's in them.
I was also kidding. She would not be my top pick
She's
for
not even in
the
this
best
episode.
mutant. I was just making a joke. But anyway, that's going to be us for this week. Don't forget to check out our new show, Gamer Heroes, which comes out on Fridays. This week, we're going to be talking about what retro gaming is. So what makes something retro in the video game world. And last week, we covered the Nintendo Switch presentation. Yes, Ray, your hand up.
Old things make them retro.
Old things make them retro. We're going to go a little
I'm
more
retro.
detail than
Yeah.
that.
Yes!
So please check that out. Ryan, what can you tell us about Patreon?
Well, as you know, we have a Patreon. And you can give us money for things. And you get a poem if you do it this month.
In January.
By February 1st, if you have given us your money and we get it, then I will write you a poem. And we will either say it here or we will say it on the Patreon video. So yeah, that'll be cool. But I want to do something special this week because I know that we have a lot of Spanish viewers that don't necessarily get to hear the rest of the podcast because they don't necessarily speak English very well, but they still love us and they love watching us. So I wrote a little speech for our Spanish
I
audience.
didn't know you spoke Spanish, Ryan.
This was done by an online translator, so I'm sure it's 100% accurate.
Did you use Google Translate,
Yes.
Babblefish, Bing? What'd you use?
He said
all of
Google
them.
already.
I went from Google Translate to Babblefish to Bing, so I just
Perfect.
I just 3 times. I want to make sure
Translated
it's
to
3 times good.
Klingon somewhere in there.
Muchas gracias por, this is already going well, por ver el podcast de Screen Heroes. Por favor, done todo su dinero a nuestro Patreon en www.patreon.com/heroespodcast, así que podemos comprar todo tipo de cosas nuevas. nuestra anfitrión muy bello Derek y nuestro anfitrión muy hablador Rachel
What's up?
podría bailar para usted fuera de la felicidad si nos das tu dinero. Gracias y por favor no me odien por matar su maravillosa lengua.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, thank you for that, Ryan.
You're welcome. I just want to make people feel included.
Sure.
Next week I will be doing it in an African clicking language. So
I don't think you will.
No, I will not be.
That's super racist.
Yeah,
It's not racist.
That's not happening.
That's not racist.
But anyway, moving on at this point, that is going to be it for us today. I hope nobody found Ryan's poor Spanish to be offensive.
I actually apologized in the last sentence
It was pretty rough.
for ruining their beautiful language.
It was pretty rough. It's a much more beautiful language than English is, I can tell you that much. Anyway, so catch us at heroespodcast.com or at Heroes Podcast on all the social media things. Drop us a review on iTunes. If you review the podcast on iTunes, we will give you a shout out on the podcast live during an episode. So you can just go to screen-heroes.com to go straight to the iTunes link.
Also, remember that every time we do a ranking of any kind, top whatever, if you join in and give us your top whatever, and we so happen to pick it, then you get a prize. I have the prizes. I know what they are. These guys don't.
And they will ship them out eventually, we think.
No, I paid for these prizes out of my own pockets. Like, these are legit prizes. So,
All right.
yeah.
All
You'll
right.
get it.
Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate everybody who joined us. Don't forget to join us live on Tuesday nights at twitch.tv/Heroes Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Stay woke.